Martin Warm, good morning everyone, and welcome, Falcher. I always play the fiddle. It's more for me actually to settle my nerves, and I've noticed it just made you louder, so it didn't quite work. But welcome to our second Community Knowledge Matters gathering, and I'm really excited to see everyone here. Who has been here before? Who was here last year? Hey, excellent. And who is this the first time you've been with us in person? Amazing. Equally excited, amazing. Now, we are live streaming at the moment, so for those of you who are joining online, you can also give us a woo in the comments. All caps, please. So, I'm going to put my fiddle down. So welcome, everybody, and I'm very excited. I feel like there's been a lot to get us to this point, and it's so important to bring people together, and we're literally running out of chairs, which I don't know how that happened, but I'm taking this as a good sign. Just to kind of, I guess, set the space, there's a lot we're packing in today, quite a lot, and that's because we're trying to make sure that we're using the best of this time, but we want to kind of guide us through the kind of agenda and the space setting as we always like to do. So just to begin with, we as a network have been going on for about two and a half years now. And one of the key things we really wanted to set up at the very beginning is to think about the kind of beliefs and the values that we have as a network. And so everything from equity and thinking about how we take an assets-based approach, and obviously we have a very big, strong focus on Highlands and Islands, rural and island, but really trying to make sure that we have people from both rural and island contexts give us a whoop. Ooh, and then people from other parts of Scotland. Hey, so we're really trying to centre that experience and share it across other parts of Scotland and internationally. Inclusivity, of course, and focusing on respect, collaboration, and integrity. And these are all on the website as well, but just to give you a sense of the kind of key things that we're going to hold ourselves to throughout today. And what this means in practice, perhaps, is thinking about, obviously, being respectful with each other. Do let us know how we can be accessible to you, and if there's anything that we've got a great team looking after us and volunteers, which we'll introduce very shortly. Many of you will know one of our key things is about language, and we very often have a jargon jar online. We're going to spare you one Padlet. There's going to be some Padlets over the course of today, and if anyone knows us, a Padlet, it's a collective document, we love it. But if you've got any words that you're not quite sure of what that might mean, or you might think it's being used in a different context, put it onto a Post-it note, and we're going to make notes of it, because it's really important to us that language is used inclusively, and that we use it as a way of building collective understanding, even if we're coming from very different experiences. Of course, it's open, so we want to hear from you. There's lots of chance for discussions and lots of chance for you to break away. And it is a shared space as well, and so just being aware about how you share the space, the time together, and boundaries as well. So we as a network are about community-led research. We have a big focus on mental health and well-being, but obviously people are here with lots of different research topics, and just noting that can sometimes bring up some really sensitive things. Sometimes we're talking about peer research, we're talking about lived experience, and so just being really conscious about when you're sharing these things, about who you're with, and being careful about how you share those things, and making sure that you've got put consent around that as well. Ethics for us, as you all know, is really important, and ethics of care, and so let's really thinking about how we can do that with each other. And you'll notice that we do have lots of cameras and lights everywhere. And so when you checked in, hopefully we asked if it's okay to take photos and videos to be used for the network, to be used with our partners, to help share the work that we've been doing. If you have a lanyard on, it signifies that you are either one of the volunteers or that you prefer not to be photographed or filmed. So, but even if you've given the consent, but you're in a moment where you definitely do not want to be filmed by a wonderful team, we've got Alex on photographers, and we have Stuart who's filming as well, then just let them know, just give them a little sign, and I'm sure we can respect that. Just so you bear in mind. And so we are going to be definitely using a lot of digital tools today, so they will be shared through the network as ways of kind of making sure that people who aren't here, who are joining online, can still participate. Some housekeeping. Now, this is a massive team effort, and we've had Max looking after us over the last couple of months to help put this together, because it's been a massive job. Max, do you want to come to the front, and we'll give you a mic to do a little bit of housekeeping.
Hi, good morning, and welcome, everyone. I am Max. I'll be helping you around with anything you need today concerning the accommodations, the workshops. We have 3 volunteers. They're back there. That's Lyra, Sinead, and Victoria. You can approach them with any question you have. And then we have Natalia, and we have Sophie here too, who will be also very happy to help you. In case of fire, this is like very specific things. You just need to walk back to the entrance. So that's actually also the fire exit, very close by. Toilets are towards the entrance to your left. The cafeteria is open all day if there is anything extra you need. If not, we provide coffee and tea and cookies and lunch and dinner later on. Again, I think I will repeat just what you said. People with the yellow lanyards are people who don't want to be filmed. People with color ones, we have the volunteers, the people who are working for Science Ceilidh, so just approach us with any questions. What else? The quiet space will be, you could use the workshop over there when it's empty, and if not, at the front, when you walked in, there is like 3 wee sofas where you can use. That's a space reserved for people who need a low moment out of here. It can be loud. And there was one more thing, which is very important. The Wi-Fi to be used is the WASP visitors Wi-Fi. So if you're in any other, please sign off and sign into this one. We're using other channels to do our live streams, so we need it clear. So if you could please just sign up to this one. And I think that's all. I hope you have a good time, and let us know if you need anything.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Max. Of course, just think about just some other practical things. With the cups, for example, we do recommend if you can put your name on the cup, it means that you can use the same one through the course of today, just thinking, of course, where we can to limit things as well. But no, again, I really appreciate it. It's been a massive team effort to bring this and to hold this space. And I think we learned a lot from last year. Even the mics, that was from last year. We actually have amplification this year. So we're trying to, of course, make sure that this is as accessible as it can be. I want to say an early thank you. I think sometimes this always comes at the end, and we're all absolutely shattered by all the incredible conversations about community-led research. And so I want to get in early about some of the big thank yous, about some of the people besides the Science Ceilidh team who have helped support the network through not just this event, but through all the work that we do. We have an incredible steering group who really support us over the last 2.5 years and steer us. We have some of them will be speaking, so I might not give them too much context, but some of them will be helping with the table discussions today. Some of them will be supporting and taking notes and just being generally helpful and really friendly. So I just want to say a massive thank you to the steering group members. I won't do that really embarrassing thing where I get you to stand up, but maybe if you can give a wave, just for if you're a part of the steering group, it's very much appreciated. Thank you. I also want to say a massive thank you to our workshop partners as well. So we've been really lucky to do lots of different collaborations. Who was at the workshop yesterday with Helen and the Binks Hub? Amazing. Well, you can see that there's some incredible art that's happening at the moment. And so we have Jenny, who's doing some finishing off some of the products from yesterday, but there will be chances for you to also interact with that as well. So please do be very nosy and ask. And those of you who did complete the workshop yesterday, we got very creative. There's collaging, there's poetry. Do speak to Helen, and Helen give us a little wave if you would like those back. And also, I'm going to very strongly encourage you for the Ceilidh later on, if you would like to share a little bit about your piece, that would be incredibly welcome, because I think yesterday was all about exploring arts and co-production and research, and so very much within the theme of what we're talking about. Of course, and we also have our workshop tomorrow with Research Data Scotland, who are in the room somewhere. Give us a wave. There you go. So if you've not signed up for that and you're still about tomorrow morning and would like to explore what public good looks like, chat to them. And I also want to, Murray gets a few big shout outs, but we also have a collaboration with Mental Wealth for Murray, Community Research Network, and there is a tour going on in Murray tomorrow. So if you look around and would like to join that still, speak to Heidi and Amy, who are going to give a wave, really embarrassingly. Thank you. And then finally, just to say thank you to our funders. We're funded primarily with the Ideas Fund, which is with the British Science Association and Wellcome. And we also did get a little bit of sponsorship, which we're really appreciative of, from Northlink Ferries for some of the bursaries as well. But that's what's been able to be that we can be really generous. We have people who've got community bursaries to make sure that there's no expenses. And as we know, within rural and island Scotland, that is not a mean, an insignificant amount. So we're really appreciative of that support. And I should say, Chris, you should give a wave from the Ideas Fund. Is Kirsty here yet? She may arrive. No, that's okay. She's spared from that. But thank you. So today, the plan, it's action-packed, and we are going to have a little bit of time for you to chat to each other. Also marking, of course, today is Remembrance Day, and so we are going to have a reflection at 11, just to mark that, and I've got a strict alarm from Sophie to remind me to make sure that we pause to reflect at that point. We're going to hear from one of the projects and programs we've been doing with the Co-Priority Survey, which has been incredibly exciting, understanding the rural needs of communities and co-developing that whole process with different community members and developing a new platform, which we're very excited by. So you get a sneak preview of that today. Then at 12 o'clock, we'll have our community-led research spotlight. So this is always a critical part to make sure that we're showing different types of, and platforming different types of community-led research that are happening. And so you will have, there'll be 4, and you'll have a choice to be in this room or that room over here. And we'll tell you more about what the choices are very shortly. We have lunch, and those of you from last year, we had very positive feedback from Love Dozer, and so we've got them back again. So, of course, we listened to the network feedback, so there you go. And then after lunch, we're kind of breaking into kind of a bit of facilitated networking. So I know there's not many breaks necessarily that look on this schedule, but I really want you throughout the whole day to please look after yourselves. You know, there will be time for breaks, to make your own breaks, to use the quiet rooms, fill yourself with coffee. But we've got network library, so we've got 6 different library books from the network, as it were, that you can go speak to for 15 minutes. Think of it like speed dating, something like this. So you can go chat to them. But Murray Wellbeing Hub are also going to be facilitating an active listening walk as well. And so there'll be 2 times that you can go for a 20-minute walk and develop your active listening, which is a key research skill, of course. So we'll tell you how that will work, and hopefully the weather will hold. Let's see. And then we're going to go into some really in-depth discussion tables to start thinking about what we want to do next as a network, what resources, what incredible work is in this room, how do we pull that together and help spotlight that, and then start thinking about policy, what change do we want to see moving forward as a network. And that's our listening panel before we round off. We'll finish at 5:30, and we'll be back again at 7:30 for our Sharing Ceilidh tonight, which we hope as many of you are going to stick around for, because it's always a hoot. And if you've not signed up and you are keen to share, you're very welcome just to rock up. But it's definitely not too late. So just to begin with, I'm going to check time. Just for a few minutes, we're going to do a little warm-up, I think. In the middle of your tables, there should be some postcards, that's the word. And I want you to take a moment to think about why does community knowledge matter to you? And so we used these postcards last year, and you may have seen them when you came in, and we're going to ask you to take a moment to think about that. And then if you'd like to doodle to answer, to write some keywords, whatever you'd like to do, and then chat to a neighbor about it. If you are online, we'd love to hear from you as well. So if you're online, we'd love to hear why does community knowledge matters to you? And if you'd like to share that into the chat, Sophie will be looking at and keeping an eye out as well. Okay, so I'll bring you back together if that's okay. 3, 2, 1, 0.5. It's your own time you're wasting. Hands on heads. No, this is good. This is good. This is the energy we want, and I want to continue that momentum. I always hate stopping it, but hopefully it's just a little taster, and as I said, you've got time to break into those conversations as we go along. Now, if you'd like to share those postcards, there is a space for them on the wall over there as well, so you can add them at the very end. That we'd love to see them and to add them to the collection. But we're going to check in very quickly. Now, so this is, again, something we do as a network all the time to check in about the different hats that people are wearing. And so if you'd like to use your phones, there's a QR code that's already there. Some of you are already incredibly well trained. Look at that. Now, I'm going to ask you to be on a scale of 1 to 5. How much are you identifying with these roles? So community member, person with lived experience, researcher. You can't see it right now, but I'll hide it in a second. But a kind of practitioner or service provider, decision maker. And a key part of our network is belief is that it's not a binary. It's thinking about how things, it's not a them and us, it's all the different hats that you might wear. If the QR code isn't working, you can also just go to menti.com and put the code in from the top as well. But I think it looks like most people have scanned. I feel really famous when this happens. It's really a paparazzi moment. It's like a live fight, I know. Okay, so, you're needing the QR code still, sorry. Or if not, just go to menti.com maybe, and you can add the code directly. So use any browser. Brilliant, okay, so primarily community members, okay, and we are a community network, so that's reassuring. But we do have lots of different people with some research experience, some less, but many with that hat as well. Maybe slightly fewer decision makers, but they are in the room, which is fantastic. And we have practitioners as well. So I'm going to move us on to the next one. Now, of course, community can mean a lot of different things. And so the next one, it should update automatically, is asking what kind of communities are you part of? It could be a geographical, it could be a community of experience or practice. It should just refresh automatically. And what keywords which communities are you coming from? And we gather this as we go along through our network. Is that working for people? Yeah, people are just thinking, hey. Parents are repping. We've got carers, neurodiverse. We have Murray. Asint. Disabled, parent, research, policymakers, youth-led, witchy, Shetland. Now, it's never a competition, but Shetland is always very high in this. So, just saying, if you want to put your own... we have a good showing from Orkney this year, I will say that. Recovery, peer support, crafting. Now, don't worry if it gets too small. We are going to share this afterwards as well. As part of the resources, but it's lovely to see where everyone is coming from. Young Islanders, cyclists, creative, beautiful. It's getting smaller and smaller. Brilliant. LGBTQ, singing, Hebrides, Beautiful. Well, thank you for checking in there, and hopefully it gives you a little sense of the diversity in the room as well. And all of those identities, of course, are incredibly welcome. Oh, Max. This might be a running theme, actually. Talking about the Hebrides. I'm going to give a couple of updates about what's been going on, but I know we are coming up close to 11 o'clock. But maybe just to give a sense of where the network has come from. So the network, we coordinate at Science Ceilidh, and it's tied to originally the work with the Ideas Fund, which many of you may have come across. Thanks, Max. The Ideas Fund is funding from British Science Association and Wellcome to try and do something where we put funding directly in communities' hands to lead research partnerships. And so the money, they are the principal investigator, if you like, and to support the partnerships with researchers. Sometimes they're academic researchers, sometimes they're independent researchers, sometimes they're from the community, sometimes they're out with the community as well. Thank you so much. And one of the key things that we learned from these programs is that this is not the usual way that work happens. There's a systems issue that assumes that the researcher and the institution leads this work. And this isn't talking about individual researchers, this is talking about what the systems, things like ethics processes that assume that it's the university that decides what the ethics process will look like. And so we have a separate grant from this process, and what we call an infrastructure grant, to look at how we can change some of these systems around community-led research. So even though we're not funding any more current projects, though there are projects that are still currently going on, this network is thinking about how we can build that connectivity in the Highlands and Islands, specifically in the rural and island Scotland, I should say, as well, to enable this way of working on a systems-like level. And so some things that we're trying to do, we've got regular network meetings, community of practices, we have lots of different spotlights, we've got a co-priority survey, which we'll be sharing the results of very shortly. We're developing new ethics processes, and we've got 2 minutes, that's fine. And we're also developing a lot of the different policy work. So I'm gonna pause this for now, and we're gonna return to it very shortly, but just to give you a little sense, perhaps, of the work that we've been doing. And just before, I suppose, we're going to take those 2 minutes, maybe just to frame how maybe we want to focus on this reflection, because today means a lot of things for lots of different people. I've got to time this very perfectly, actually, I feel. So today, we pause to remember all those who've suffered and sacrificed in conflicts past and present. We acknowledge the traditional focus of the day, which is honoring our veterans and the armed forces. We hold space for their stories, and we remember them. And we should hold space for the profound impact of war. To return to the spirit of the network values that we have: equity, inclusivity, collaboration, respect and integrity. These, we believe, are foundations for building a more peaceful and understanding world. And I also invite you to take a moment to reflect and consider more broadly and extend our remembrance to all victims of violence, displacement, and injustice from conflicts worldwide. We're going to take 2 minutes. I'm thinking about how powerful silence can be, actually, as a time. And I'm thinking of some of the incredible work that we know that organizations that we've supported through the network, Gaelic Head Support Trust, for example, do with veterans. And if any of you have joined our recent community lab, community conversation station, the incredible power that peer-led research, where veterans have been interviewing other veterans to really understand the needs that veterans have for support at the moment, and how powerful that has been to help change and start to change health services to support veterans better. So we are going to be sharing the video of that at the Ceilidh tonight, and we've got some of the partners involved, but we're thinking of that. Thank you. Just in terms of maybe some other brief updates, it's been a busy few years. And as I said, that's really testament to the collaborations that we've nurtured and the values that we have had. The network, in terms of the people who registered, we've got over 300 members to date. A majority are community members within rural and island Scotland. And you will notice I'm switching perhaps. Historically, we have had a focus on Highlands and Islands, particularly because of the link with the Ideas Fund. But this year, particularly because of a lot of different programs that we've been doing, recognizing that, of course, there are very similar needs, some very different needs in other parts of Scotland as well. So the network is shifting towards rural and island more generally. We've had 27 online community practices with peers, bringing people together once a month online. We have a lot of different great conversations, like the one I've just mentioned with Gaelic Ed Support Trust, and today you'll be seeing 4 more. We are trying to really think not just about how we are individual projects and individual organizations, but how can we be greater than the sum of our parts, and how do we build that collective voice and think about how we feed into consultations and build that kind of more strategic, I guess, place and recognition. People do community-led research because they want change, and very often community-led research looks very different from more traditional research, perhaps. And so a lot of the work that we feel a responsibility about is how do we bring policymakers along with us to accept different types of knowledge, not just about fitting into their boxes, but actually how do we accept different types of evidence to help make an impact. So we've been feeding into lots of different reviews. And of course, this is the second of our in-person gatherings. And we're very excited about that. And just to recognize maybe some of the pressing and current partnerships that we're really excited to be working with. Mental Wealth for Murray, Community Research Network, as we already mentioned. I'm really excited about how things are developing and how we can support each other as sister networks. And if any of you are Murray inclined, you should have a chat with them. The Binks Hub, really appreciate the collaboration that we've been working with Helen and from other colleagues in the Binks Hub. And with the National Centre for Remote and Rural Health and Care, we've been setting up a training program for rural health and care practitioners to support their skills in research, and importantly, how they can collaborate more with communities as well. And so we're really excited to integrate them into the network. And if you see a lot more health practitioners, that's the reason why. And they'll hopefully be incredibly keen to collaborate with community partners to see how this can impact better service improvement in the local areas as well. So something that we're really excited by, and hopefully this training offer is something that helps develop the kind of capacity of the network over time as well. So I'm going to leave it there, and we've had a very exciting time hosting students, feeding into research, PhD research, and I'm going to invite one of our master students to talk about some work looking at how intermediaries can address power, and power is such an unspoken thing sometimes in research. Who holds power? Institutions, researchers, communities, artists, and so I'm going to invite Sophie to talk a little bit about her work with us, if that's all right.
Give her a warm welcome. Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me? I'm Sophie, and this summer I wrote my master's dissertation in collaboration with Science Ceilidh, and now I get to work with Science Ceilidh. It's awesome. Thanks. So my master's dissertation was exploring experiences of power in community-led research. My main question I was focusing on was, how can we foster equitable power dynamics within community-led research processes? And kind of more specifically within that, how can intermediaries help? And I'll explain what I mean by intermediary in just a second. So to start with, why am I interested in experiences of power in community-led research? I think we can all agree that research can be super helpful and interesting, but for some communities, research can be harmful because of the power dynamics that it can uphold. And that includes some community-led research projects as well. So I'm interested in how can this be remedied, and one potential way to start that process is through the implementation of an intermediary. So what I mean by intermediary in this instance is a person or an organization that's a kind of go-between between all the different people working on a community-led research project. So funders, a community conducting research, maybe an academic or independent researcher also supporting the research, and the intermediary can connect the community with resources, mediate, and just really provide whatever is needed. So my research process began by speaking with participants who have experience working within environmental community-led projects, most of them supported by Science Ceilidh as an intermediary in this case. And I talked with them about their experiences of power within their projects. I then analyzed responses according to common themes that were coming up in the conversations and some relevant power theories as well. And then I produced a set of recommendations for funders, a set for intermediaries, a set for academic independent researchers, and a set for communities that might be conducting community-led research, all with the central idea of promoting equitable power dynamics. So I had a bunch of key kind of drafted findings, but I'll chat about just a few of them to start. The main one is that power does impact community-led research, positively and negatively. Intermediaries can definitely be effective in supporting community-led research by reducing power inequities within the research process, by continually centering the communities conducting research in the entire process. I also found that communities should determine how much and what kind of support they receive. There's no one-size-fits-all for this is how you support community-led research, this is what an intermediary should do. Every single person that I spoke to wanted something different within their projects in terms of level and type of support. I also found that reflection is incredibly essential within community-led research projects, especially if you're someone who might have kind of greater relative or systemic power within a project. So for example, if you're an academic researcher and you're associated with a university, you should be continually reflecting on your positionality and the power that might come with your position within the project to make sure you're not overpowering the community that should be at the center of the research. I also found that lasting impact and sustainability of the project should be at the forefront of the entire process. So we obviously want to make sure that all the effort that everyone is putting into the research means something at the end. So just making sure that the lasting impact, even after the project ends, is thought of from the very beginning. And the last thing I'll talk about is that funds should be flexible and community controlled. And this was a major theme in many of the people that I spoke with for this project. So for example, if funding is tied to a time scale, that time scale should be flexible. So as the project evolves and grows, that time scale can also evolve and grow, and that makes the research process a lot more accessible for people. So what's next for this project? I made a zine to go along with my dissertation because the document is really long and boring and horrible. So you've been seeing little zine pages up here, and I have the entire zine printed out around the corner. So you'll line up there to get lunch later, but it's all printed and it has contributions from participants, so people that I spoke to, some really great drawings, some quotations, and I have some posters next to the zine, one for each kind of actor in community-led research, and some Post-it notes. And I would really, really appreciate your thoughts if anything in the presentation or in the zine resonates with you, if you disagree with anything, if you have any experiences you want to share. I would love to hear about that on the posters. And I hope to just continue the accessible and ideally useful dissemination of my findings. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sophie.